So I got this comment from Syed. He proposed an excellent idea for this video. He wants to understand the role of different stakeholders in an IT project and how you as a project manager should interact with them. And it's a great idea because most project managers don't have formal education, and the only way to learn this aspect of stakeholder management is to finish several IT projects on your own. But also, I think that you shouldn't have to lead a project through trial and error, especially when we deal with real people. So let me share my experience on how it works in the real world so you don't have to experiment yourself. We'll take a simple project lifecycle with pre-sales, initiation, planning, execution, and handoff phases. For the purpose of this video, here's what these phases include. So I assume we have client-vendor relationships. That's why during the pre-sales phase, our sales team tries to persuade a client to give us the project that they have, and we'll do whatever they need. In the initiation phase, we aim to identify the project goal, set boundaries, and identify the main deliverables for the project. Then we move to planning phase. Here we'll collect requirements, identify scope, estimate the project, and come up with a timeline. Then we'll hire people and do other planning activities. Execution of the project is all about the daily work our project team will do to create deliverables and in general reach project objectives. We will do testing and validation of the project deliverables here as well. The handoff is when we finalize the project and give away all deliverables to the project owners. They will need to sign off on the project's end. Okay, if you want to learn more about the software development process, I have a great video for you. The link is in the description. But let's move on to the roles of our stakeholders. We'll start with internal ones, and first of all, we'll meet with our sales team. They will try to sell our services to the client during the initiation. So their goal is to get clients to sign a contract, and after that, they're done. Then they move to the next client. To sell our services, the sales team will promise the best possible outcomes and performance imaginable. So your role here is to control what they promise. But additionally, you may also need to help do the feasibility analysis and provide high-level estimates. This way, they can put some numbers into the contract. The sales team rarely participates in other phases, so we are moving on to your boss. And depending on the size of the company and the way it's organized, it can be the CEO of company, line manager, or some other title. Essentially, their role during the pre-sales and initiation is to help you connect with other internal stakeholders. They know what happens around your project and how this new project impacts their department and company in general. Your boss may also help you acquire people and resources, again because he usually controls resource allocation in the department or the whole company. After that, your boss becomes a controlling body. You may need to report to them, they may control the business relationships with your client, but in general, after project initiation, their involvement is relatively low. Then we have a group of technical stakeholders in the IT industry. It might be a chief technical officer, CTO, alone, or he may have subordinates like engineering directors. The titles may differ, but the idea is that they control technical decisions and develop technical expertise over the whole organization. So you may encounter the leading architect, quality assurance manager, and engineering directors responsible for example, web or mobile development. Or in small company, the CTO will wear all these hats. So these stakeholders are usually responsible for all projects in the company within their area of expertise. As a result, they have only part-time involvement in each one. So you want to treat them as expensive consultants. But first, keep in mind that these stakeholders may have company-wide initiatives. Therefore, you should be aware of them and analyze how they impact your project. Next, during pre-sales, they will help you to perform feasibility studies and may propose solutions based on the project's objectives. In general, they help you connect business needs with the technology solutions. CTO or company's leading architect will help you lay foundation for the product or service you need to create from technical perspective. Like in construction projects in the IT industry, we often start with the architectural design of our product. But don't expect them to do heavy lifting. Instead, they will advise your team, while your team members will create all the required documentation. Moreover, after that, you will do the talking to explain all these complex topics to the clients. Then these technical stakeholders will take a more advisory and controlling role in the later phases. So you'll reach out to them with challenges that your team cannot solve. On the other hand, these stakeholders will also control the project team in the areas of their responsibility. Overall, in the IT industry, these technical stakeholders are crucial. They have lots of expert authority, therefore they can push most of the technical decisions on your project. That's why it's better to learn about their requirements for your project in advance. Then after that, you do want to keep them informed and engaged with your project. Next, we have recruitment department, and you need to start engaging them during the initiation phase. You need to learn how quickly they can fill your project's open positions. Do they have experience in hiring specific experts that you need? Overall, the recruitment process may become a bottleneck for your project, so you need to take into account their performance. Otherwise, you may not have required people to start, for example, collecting requirements. Later, in the planning phase, you'll need to work with them hand in hand to acquire all the necessary people for the project. Right at the beginning of the phase, you need to provide them with the human resources plan. This plan outlines the open roles with the required experience and skill sets. Also, you'll need to communicate when you need those roles filled in for your project. So as a result, you want their commitment to finding suitable candidates within the agreed time frame. Hiring process may extend through planning, execution, and even the closure phase. For example, you may need to organize the work of the post-production support team. Likewise, we have an HR department. They help you during initiation and planning with the pool of people you may take from other projects or departments of the organization. And second, the HR department may help you with some people management activities during the execution and closure of the project. So you need to clarify what is the zone of their responsibilities in the given company. Nowadays, DevOps has become a typical stakeholder in IT project. First of all, during the pre-sales phase and initiation, you need to engage DevOps to understand the possible solution they can provide. Moreover, you need to consider the costs of those solutions. Quite often the cost of an IT infrastructure is the bulk of the IT project's budget. Second, DevOps teams are usually a shared pool of people and resources, so during planning you need to share the requirements and needs of your project with them. And again, based on their priorities, you need to get their commitment to work on your project, so don't expect them to jump on your task whenever you ask. And by the way, it's the same story with UX, UI artists if you don't have dedicated people on your team. On top of that, we have subject matter experts. It's a broad group of stakeholders, but usually you need engagement from people closer to the business side of a project or the end users. For example, it might be a doctor who will use your software and she knows how a surgical department works in all the details. So you need her engagement to better understand the business needs of the product you develop. In most cases, these stakeholders provide you with additional insights about requirements to your product or service. However, they rarely have any authority over the project, and in most cases you need them more than they need you. Okay, by now you must be wondering if all these insights are only in my head. And the answer is no. I have a book where I explain all aspects of project management you need to know in the real world. So if you want to become a great project manager, I'll leave you a link in the description. Get the book today. Okay, on the other side, we'll also have external stakeholders. First of all, we'll work with project owners. It's a collective term of all people on the client side who directly impact the project. For example, you may have the company's owner or CEO on the client side. You may have a CTO on their side as well, or a project manager. Or you may even have to deal with the whole steering committee. But all these stakeholders on client side have a similar role. They will provide you with priorities, business context, problems they want to solve, and high-level requirements. Of course, all of them will focus on their areas of expertise. And you can apply the same principles for the internal stakeholders if you have the same roles on the client side. Let's also talk about product managers. A product manager can be either an internal or external stakeholder, but I recommend you think about product managers as external stakeholders all the time. You see, nowadays more often than not, we develop software applications as products. So it means that you do it in a series of projects. So in this case, product manager is responsible for identifying what new features and capabilities our customers need the most. That's why a product manager has to work with a project manager hand in hand, and usually it happens like this. The product manager identifies priorities for each feature of a product. Now they want to know what it takes to implement those features. So they ask a project manager to perform feasibility analysis and provide estimates. Now, based on priorities and estimates from the project manager, the product manager can create a roadmap for the product and plan out all those projects and teams to implement this roadmap. Okay, here's the problem. It's not enough to know all these stakeholders and their roles. As a great project manager, you must manage them and lead them to the project success. That's why you need a set of tools and processes that will help you. And I'll explain all of it and even more in these videos. So click on the video now because I'm waiting for you to continue our conversation. See you there.